Word. Okay, so hopefully my teacher sees this right now that I've got 9 participants there. And I'm going to show a whiteboard as well. If you just bear with me for one moment, I've got some visual aids for this one. Thank you guys. Presenting, open board. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Just a moment. All right. So, all right. I've got my participants here. I'm going to change it to speaker. All right. So, not sure why it's not showing me talking here. Well, there I am. So that's just going to have to be good enough. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Where does creativity come from? Is it intelligence? Is it random? Or is it perhaps something else? More than 50 years ago, during World War II, the military was looking for fighter pilots that would respond to dilemmas creatively, unconventionally, if you will. At first, they started looking for people who had higher IQs, but they quickly realized that that wasn't going to find them exactly what they were looking for. Eventually, they brought in this guy, J.P. Guilford, and he was the one who was responsible for all of our modern creativity thinking. He's the one who coined the terms convergent and divergent. Now I'm going to discuss some of the differences between you. So in an episode of Scientific American, Unleashing Creativity, convergent thinking is defined as a single correct solution to a problem. As you can see on my whiteboard, you've got the information and it's all converging on a solution. Now, an example of this might be, what is the distance between Florida to Colorado? Or how many letters are in the English alphabet? We know that there's 26 letters and there's a specific number of miles in between Florida and Colorado. So there's only one answer, and you can get this knowledge from experience or education. This is the type of thinking that's more associated with your left brain, logic, IQ tests, and there's going to be a right or wrong answer. So far, we've discussed convergent, but let's move on to divergent now. Andrew Kreider, who is the author of Edward de Vere and the Psychology of Creativity, little aside there, Edward de Vere is thought to be the person who is associated with the works of William Shakespeare. Just a little fun fact. But in that research paper, divergent thinking is defined as the creation of new ideas to problems that don't have answers. So to illustrate that a little bit, I'm going to give you a word association example. So it says start with a prompt and then generate many solutions. Say your prompt is the word foot. So you might think about toe or leg or walk, and all of these are going to be really closely associated. But as you start coming up with more and more stuff, it's probably going to go a little bit further away. So like print or bridge or inch, we know that there's inches within feet. There's such a thing as a footprint, and there's such a thing as a footbridge. Now, the further and further you go with this, the farther and farther away you're going to get, and I can go on with examples, but I'm going to stop right there because there are no right or wrong answers with divergent thinking. It's more associated with your right side of your brain, imaginative, intuitive. Think about like poetry. The right side of your brain is going to be the one responsible for finding meaning from stuff like that. So now that we know that convergent is finding a single answer and divergent is the creation of many answers, let's move on to what I call the magic creativity zone. So this is when you combine divergent and convergent thinking. Now, Austin Silva, Gloria Vina, and Jeffrey Sau from the Art of Research, they claim that to do convergent thinking or divergent thinking on their own, it's difficult already to come up with a solution or to create a new idea, but it's even harder to know when you might want to switch those around. But great inspiration comes from a mixture of the two. Not every new idea is good simply because it's new. Creativity involves using both the left and the right side of your brain. So you can see on the image here that you're starting with a prompt, you're coming up with ideas, and then you're checking those against your facts. So you come up with, inspiration, you have to make sure that it's grounded in solid knowledge if you want to come up with something truly innovative. Now, logic and facts coming together with many people is a great way to fill in gaps that one might have as an individual. You can also draw upon each other to come up with even better ideas and more ways to find answers. So we've learned that convergent thinking is coming to a specific answer, and divergent thinking is coming up with new ideas. But there's no one right answer. Thomas Edison says that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So you need to have a little bit of both. So whether you're left brain or right brain dominant, if you have a little bit of practice and a little bit of patience and maybe even a little help from some of your friends, then anybody can be truly creative. Thank you. Now, hopefully I didn't run through that like a maniac this time. The next part of this assignment is that I'm supposed to open the floor for questions. I need to answer at least 1 or 2 questions. So if anybody has one, then now would be the time to go ahead and pose that to me.
I have a question, Kayla. So
okay, great. Kathy, I can't hear you though.
Oh, okay. I think I'm unmuted.
I wonder if I can put the chat on here, maybe. Do you see the chat?
Yeah, let me try that.
Kayla, I think it might be on your end because I can hear her.
I don't know how to type in the chat though, apparently. Let's see. Type your message here. Okay, so is a brainstorming session like just a group of people that are throwing ideas out onto a board?
I wonder if there's a way to. Kayla, I can hear her. I wonder why I can't hear her.
Can you hear me now?
I think it might be on your end. Technical difficulties. Oh no.
I'm gonna try. I'm
Can
trying
somebody
to
type the question for me, please? I'm so sorry. Is brainstorming session an example of divergent thinking? Okay, so the question is brainstorming session an example of divergent thinking? I would say so. I mean, you're together, you're coming up with new ideas and using each other to, expand on that. I would say so, for sure. Thank you so much for your question. I really, really appreciate it. I wonder if my professor will count the technical difficulty as time. I appreciate that so much. All right. Does anybody else have a question? And I guess since I'm having auditory issues, if you could pose it in the, do you think one type of thinking is more beneficial? Honestly, based on what I've learned, I would say that each type has its place depending on what you're trying to do. This was supposed to be a 5 to 6 minute speech, so I couldn't go into all the detail I wanted, but a lot of what I found was that you need to have a solid background in convergent thinking in order to make your divergent ideas even better. So I'm thinking that they're both pretty essential, if that answers your question, and I hope it does. All right, well, I could probably do one more question if somebody has one. If not, then I think I would just say thank you so much to everybody for being here for me and for participating. And I truly, truly appreciate you. And thank you for dealing with my technical difficulties. Clearly, I'm not a Zoom aficionado, if you will, but thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and end the Zoom meeting. Thank you so much, Kathy. All right, guys, have a good one.